Some NFL drafts are really good, and some are really bad.
Of teams that will forever regret passing on Johnny Manziel, who pretty soon will change football life in Cleveland, Ohio. One day, I am predicting, Johnny Manziel will become even bigger in the city of Cleveland than his buddy and business partner LeBron James ever was in the city of Cleveland.
Watching other guys that are doing what I want to be doing, and I'm sitting on the couch being a loser.
The 2014 NFL draft was overflowing with potential, and hell, some of these guys were even expected to carry the league on their backs and be the future of the NFL, only to not turn out to be that great. I mean, there were some good things. At least 2 superstars, a couple of all-pros, and plenty of depth players. From a gambling-addicted quarterback to one of the greatest defensive linemen to ever play the game, here's what actually happened to the 2014 NFL draft.
Michigan at the 41. What a hit! Ball's free on the ground. South Carolina deserves to have it, and they do.
With the first overall pick in the 2014 NFL draft, the Houston Texans landed themselves a large and powerful edge rusher from South Carolina. Jadaveon Clowney had everything you wanted in a first overall pick on the defensive side of the ball, combining athleticism with explosive playmaking ability. A frustrating knee injury meant that Texans fans had to wait to unleash their defensive weapon, but even when he did come back and get some consistent playing time, it honestly was a little bit underwhelming. After registering no sacks in 7 games as a rookie, Clowney gradually improved every year, but left a lot to be desired. His 9.5 sacks in his 4th season in 2017 would set a new career high, which he still has yet to pass. And look, don't get me wrong, Clowney is a physical specimen at his position, while being extremely strong and having an explosive skill set. But he's honestly never quite been able to deliver with all of that potential he's had. As a result, the Texans decided to let him walk after 5 years.
With the second pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Greg Robinson, tackle, Auburn.
And it takes only 2 picks to get to our first proper bust, Greg Robinson, who was taken number 2 overall by the then St. Louis Rams. They thought they were landing a rock-solid tackle to be a stalwart on the offensive line for years to come. And it's fair to say that he came quite short of those lofty expectations. He's not even in the league, and he didn't even last 6 seasons in the league. Robinson struggled with weight, penalty issues, and straight up just bad play at St. Louis. The team benched him several times and even tried him at different positions, but nothing could produce the talent that the Rams were hoping for from their 2nd overall pick. Eventually, the Rams decided to cut ties with the struggling O-lineman, sending him to the Detroit Lions. Any hopes Detroit had of turning him into a useful player were quickly disbanded as he lasted just 6 games in Motor City. They say the 3rd time's a charm, and there were definitely some signs of improvement from Robinson when he landed in Cleveland. He managed to re-sign with the team for a 2nd year, but an arrest for marijuana possession in 2020 would firmly put an end to his playing time.
He was driving around with anywhere between 300 grand and 750 gur in street value pot. Now that seems like a lot of money, right? Until you remember that Greg Robinson's salary with the Browns last season was $5.5 million before roster bonuses. In other words, this guy's driving around with roughly a game check of Kron. And for that, he is now facing the possibility of 20 years in prison.
It was not a pretty career for Robinson on the field, and his subsequent arrest in 2022 is a sad way for his story to end.
With the 3rd pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Blake Bortles, quarterback, Central Florida.
Our first quarterback comes off the board with the 3rd overall pick, with Blake Bortles heading to Jacksonville. This honestly was a weird one for the Jaguars, who undoubtedly did not find their franchise quarterback, but they did honestly have some fun with Bortles at the helm. Bortles never put any particular strong tape, averaging a 59% completion rate across his time as a starter, but he managed an impressive 4,428 yards and 25 touchdowns in his sophomore season, but it did come with 18 interceptions, which would become a common theme for his career. The most confusing of seasons came in 2017 though, when Bortles passed for just 21 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, but somehow they fell just one game short of reaching the Super Bowl. Like, the Jags had a fearsome defensive unit, and honestly, I would say that they probably did most of the heavy lifting that season. Like, I mean, many people and many analysts were saying that without that defense, the Jaguars would not have made it to that AFC Championship game. Bortles' numbers were surprisingly good in the playoffs, improving to a 57.6% completion rate and helping the Jags extend to a 20-10 lead over New England. But you would have been hard-pressed to find someone who thought he was a future of the franchise quarterback. He only lasted one more season for the Jags after finishing up with a comedic stat line of 103 touchdowns and 75 interceptions. After leaving Jacksonville, he went to the LA Rams, where he completed 2 passes in 2019 and was never seen again except for on Pardon My Take, where he is now the boat.
So the plan was to buy a Tesla so that I could quit dipping, because then I wouldn't have to go to the gas station anymore. So now I just go to the gas station just to buy dip.
That's a very expensive way to quit dipping, but more power to you.
Our first wide receiver off of the board is also our first Super Bowl winner. However, it isn't as quite glamorous the name as you would think. The high draft selection came on the back of a stellar college career at Clemson, with Sammy Watkins offering good size and athleticism for a receiver. He made a solid start to his career in the pro game, collecting 65 receptions for 982 yards as a rookie before surpassing the 1,000 yard mark in his sophomore season. Like, I mean, this was good, but when you take a wide receiver at such a high pick, it's really not what you're expecting. Unfortunately, an injury to his foot in year 3 would sideline him for much of the season, leaving a great sense of disappointment around the former high draft selection. The Bills decided to trade him away after that, leading Watkins to become somewhat of a journeyman wide receiver who could show flashes of brilliance but was ultimately not dependable. His best year came in 2019 when he posted 673 yards with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It was an absolutely brilliant postseason for Watkins, but he reverted to his normal self after that and never posted more than 421 yards. His last catch was in 2022, so it looks like his career might now be over.
With the 5th pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Khalil Mack, linebacker, Buffalo.
Khalil Mack is our first proper hit on the list. At 6'3" and 269 pounds, Mack offered a lethal combination of power and speed, helping him rack up 101 sacks across his 10-year career. Unlike Clowney, who was taken first overall, Mack delivered on his potential quickly, hammering home 15 sacks as a sophomore with 2 forced fumbles. For his efforts, he was selected as a first-team All-Pro player, but went one better in year 3. After notching up another 11 sacks and 5 forced fumbles in 2016, Mack won the prestigious Defensive Player of the Year award. Khalil Mack had established himself as one of the best players in the NFL, which meant the Raiders' decision to trade him to Chicago after 4 years came to a shock to most. They got 2 first-round picks in return, but giving up elite talent is rarely a good idea. Mack continued his dominant path, posting 12.5 sacks in his first season as a Bear, which was enough to earn him his 3rd first-team All-Pro selection. Mack's sack total did dip below 10 for a few years between 2019 and 2022, but 17 sacks in 2023 for the Los Angeles Chargers set a career high and reminded everyone what a talented player he is. It remains to see who he will line up for in 2024, but the way free agency is going, honestly, I don't even know where to predict where he's going to go. Another hit followed with the 6th selection in the 2014 NFL Draft, with Jake Matthews coming off the board to the Atlanta Falcons. Matthews was the 2nd tackle taken inside the top 10, but his career just completely overshadowed that of Greg Robinson's. He's just completed his 10th season for the Atlanta Falcons this past year, which that's all it needs to tell you about the guy. Unfortunately, 2 offensive holding flags on Matthew proved pivotal in helping the Patriots produce one of the most famous comebacks in sporting history. It has been a stellar career for Matthews, but those 2 offensive holding penalties could be the defining moments of his career.
With the 7th pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the
Tampa Bay Buccaneers were selecting with the 7th overall pick in the draft, opting to bolster their offense with the selection of wide receiver Mike Evans. And honestly, looking at this draft class, it seems like it was pretty good to be the second person picked at your position. Just like Matthews before him, Evans proved to have a better career than the wide receiver selected ahead of him in Sammy Watkins. Consistency is the name of the game for Mike Evans, who has posted over 1,000 yards in every single season he has played in the NFL. That equates to 11,680 yards and 94 touchdowns across his 10-year career, which places him well clear on the Buccaneers' all-time leaderboard for both. Evans has become renowned for being a Super Bowl ring for the 2021 season. In 2023, Evans' 13 touchdowns tied league leaders. And given that he just signed a new 2-year contract with the Buccaneers, it's safe to say that there's more of this big-bodied receiver and big plays to come out of Mike Evans. He is without a doubt a Hall of Famer in the making. Now, the ace selection in the draft was held by the Cleveland Browns, who we all know does not have a good track record when making draft selections. And in 2014, that was certainly the case as they whiffed on the selection of cornerback Justin Gilbert. Despite having good physical attributes, Gilbert struggled with off-field issues and just honestly failed to ever develop. He was on the Browns for 3 seasons and he only registered 1 interception in his career on that team. And not full honesty, the dude was just bad. With the 9th pick in the draft though, the Minnesota Vikings selected linebacker Anthony Barr. Barr was a promising physical talent with the versatility to impact the game as a pass rusher and run stuffer. Just like Jadaveon Clowney at the top of the draft though, Barr honestly just never developed into anything, and he never posted more than 4 sacks and 79 tackles in a season. He was solid enough spending 8 seasons as a Viking to start his career and being selected for 4 Pro Bowls, but you would want a bit more out of a star power from a top 10 selection. After spending 1 year with the Cowboys in 2022, Barr returned to the Vikings in 2023, but only played 4 games. He spent most of the year on their practice squad, and his future is up in the air for the 2024 season. Rounding out the top 10, we have a tight end in Eric Ebron, who was selected by the Detroit Lions. And honestly, Ebron's just another guy that we could just sum up to be a miss, and honestly just never lived up to the top 10 pedigree that everybody wanted him to. Like, I mean, the dude scored 1 time in his rookie season in Detroit, just setting up what would be a dismal career in Detroit. He was eventually let go after producing just 11 touchdowns and never more than 711 yards across his 4 seasons. Like, I mean, you can't blame the Lions for cutting ties, but they would have been panicking after he suddenly started putting up numbers in his first year in Indianapolis. The 2018 season saw Ebron post 13 touchdowns and 750 yards on his way to earning his one and only Pro Bowl selection. He stuck around in Indianapolis for 1 more year, but was unable to recreate the magic. In 2020, he tried his luck with his 3rd team, but after struggling to make an impact in Pittsburgh, Ebron hasn't been on the gridiron since 2021. All in all, the 2014 NFL draft was a little bit of a letdown if we look back on it. There were far more misses than there were hits in this draft, with honestly only Khalil Mack and Mike Evans being the only top 10 worthy selections that really went on to become anything. 2 players who did deserve to go in the top 10 were Odell Beckham Jr. and Aaron Donald, who were selected at the 12th and 13th picks respectively. Sports fans all around the world became aware of Odell Beckham after his insane catch as a rookie. The superstar surpassed 1,000 yards in 5 of his first 6 seasons, winning 2 second-team All-Pro selections in the Offensive Rookie of the Year award along the way. Odell was good, but the player that was picked at 13 might be the greatest player to ever play his position. Defensive tackle Aaron Donald has racked up 203 sacks in a spectacular career, proving to be one of the most dominant physical specimen the NFL has ever seen. Award. The best player in the 2014 NFL draft certainly did not come with the top 10 pick, as Aaron Donald's career dwarfs everyone else's who has been named in this video. But I want to know what you guys think with the 2024 draft coming up. What do you guys think? Who are some top 10 picks that are going to be certified busts or even certified Hall of Famers? Personally, me, I think Jaden Daniels is legit. But let me know down in the comment section below, and as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.